So we are here for our flashback to WordPress or intro to WordPress. We have a new person who's going to be joining us. So we're going to be in and out of the admin section of WordPress. I encourage you all to ask questions as we go along. I love questions, and I think it also helps people answer questions that they'll have in the future too, because until you're using it, it's like, you know, the vault just opens when you start using it and you're like, whoa, how do you do this? And if you have a website already, then you can play along in your admin section and do the activities that we're doing today. And if not, you can just watch me and I'll kind of explain what I'm doing as we go along. So the overview of what we will be doing today, we're going to learn what WordPress is. We're going to learn how it works. And then we're going to learn about updating it. We're going to talk about modifying your site. And this is where we're going to spend the bulk of our time today. We're going to look at an overview of your admin section, where things are located and how you can find them. We're also going to talk about adding users, the difference between pages and posts, editing those pages and posts. And then inside of those pages and posts, we're going to look at formatting text, writing those titles, and then adding photos and PDFs to all the information that we're putting into our site. And for those of you that just joined us, you can watch us on join.me, or you can go out to the YouTube channel, but I encourage you to stay in this conference call so you can easily ask questions, because the YouTube audio is not nearly as nice and I can't hear you when you're out there. So stick with me here. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is what is WordPress. So as of 2 years ago now, 70 million websites were powered by WordPress. So it is the second most popular system to build a website on. So lots of people have WordPress sites. You're not the only ones. As a matter of fact, about 2.5 years ago, Microsoft switched all of their blogs, their public blogs, over to WordPress. So you're using a good system that's well supported and lots of people will use it. So it's a very strong system. It is an open source, free blogging tool and content management system. And most of you guys are using it as a content management system. And the technical gunk is that it's powered by PHP and MySQL. We actually have installed WordPress in your hosting space if we've developed your site for you. So it's not like WordPress.com where you're sharing the software with everybody else. You have your own software that's installed in a hosting space. And you can update your website from any computer that has internet access. So if you go on vacation to France, it's totally cool. You're like taking pictures and you want to share them with the world. You can put them on your website if you want to. So I just wanted to talk briefly about how your website works. I feel like the internet is such a complicated thing because it's not tangible to people. And so it helps a little bit just to have a piece of knowledge about what's happening when you're out there updating your website. So we divide the website into two parts. We talk about the front end of the website and then the back end of the website. So the front end of the website is displayed through an internet browser. So basically the code from your website, the things that we put together for you, are retrieved from your hosting space and it's displayed on a screen using your browser. So that's what's happening on the front end. There's all these functions and so forth that are telling your website how to look and how to act, and when you add information to it, it goes through this code and it pops out on a browser. So that's why occasionally when you might be looking at it in, say, the Offender Internet Explorer and things don't look exactly the same way that they do in, say, Chrome, it's because they just work differently. We want things to be as similar as possible, but we also have to plan for those items. Okay, so then I talked about the front end, so the back end. So the back end is like this big, massive web that is the internet. And the internet is actually made up of a whole bunch of servers. They look just like computers. Well, some of them do. Others of them look, well, I don't know. They're crazy. They're so neat looking. If you ever really feel like you need to see them, you can come hang out in our data center because they just make everybody excited around here. So all these servers act like filing cabinets. And then on each filing cabinet in your office, you've got a label on the outside of it, right? So that way you know what's in the drawer. So that label is like your domain name. And then that label tells the browsers where they're supposed to look to find your website. So each one of your hosting spaces contains the same things that the file folder in your filing cabinet can contain. It can contain pictures, it can contain documents, you can put folders in it. So all those things are in your hosting space. And then that is like essentially what makes up the World Wide Web. It's all connected and fancy. Okay, so your WordPress, like what is WordPress to you? All of you guys have a custom WordPress theme. So what that means is that we took WordPress and we built a look for it and we added functionality onto it to do the things that you need it to do to promote your business. And believe it or not, even though your websites all do different things and look very different, they're all going to be updated using the same software. So you guys could just log into each other's sites and make updates and they would all act the same, but don't share unless you trust each other. Okay, so occasionally when you get into WordPress, and sometimes more than occasionally because they're very proactive about this, you're going to see alerts that tell you that you should be updating your website. And so I want to discuss that because people ask us questions about it all the time, and we want to let you understand why you would update it and help you make the decision as to whether you would update it on your own or call us to do it for you. So when you see this bar at the top of your admin section, you probably need to upgrade. And I use the word need loosely. It's not like, oh my gosh, if you don't do this, your website's going to crash. It's not like that. There are reasons why you upgrade. Really smart people improve WordPress every day. Like I said, it's open source, so nobody's getting paid to improve it. It's an open source project that people get to use, and they must make money somehow, but I don't exactly know how that is right now. Occasionally, you do need to update the software because you want to keep your site secure. And also, when they upgrade it, they enable new features. So anytime that a WordPress site gets hacked and it's reported, those really smart people go in and they say, how did somebody get in here? And they say, well, we can work defensively to make sure that we update the software so that it doesn't happen again. I know you guys have probably heard a whole bunch of like offensive and defensive, like internet hacking and so forth on the news. And this is an example of people defensively, they find a problem, they patch it, they fix it. So whenever you update your site, you make it more secure and less likely for people to be able to hack it because they stopped the hacks before they happened. And then also new features. So you guys have been using the internet for, years now. And you know that when we started using the internet, like, I don't even know, back in the late 90s, we were like, oh, look, there's a picture on the screen. That's so cool. And now we're like, there's a picture on the screen. Why doesn't it blink? Why can't I change the color of it? Why can't I rotate it, right? So we were like so excited just to get a picture to show up back then, and now we're like, we have to be able to do all these new things. And so these people that develop the software, they take that into account and they try to improve the features of their website software so that way people like you and I can benefit from it. And we suggest that you update it quarterly or upon each new release, whichever you feel comfortable with, but I would do it fairly regularly. You can call us for this. And the reason that you will call us for this is because sometimes if you waited a long time between your upgrades, your website may get a little crazy. And if it does get a little crazy, we update websites every day. We know the things that can break and we know how to fix them quickly. If we have it on the schedule and we're doing it for you, then your scheduled time includes fixing it too, and we're going to make sure that it's up and running as quickly as possible. The more you update, the less likely things are to break. And if you ask us to update it for you, it only takes us between 15 and 30 minutes generally. So it costs between $25 and $50. And we will always let you know if we think that something's going to break and what the cost would be if it did. So we like to keep you very informed of those things. And we just talked about this, but here's a nice graphic that kind of shows you, 83% of hacked WordPress blogs are hacked because they're not upgraded. 14% are actually hacked because the web servers aren't upgraded. And we've had clients that host with other companies that have that problem, and we work very hard to make sure that you are not hacked because we are negligent in our hosting practices. Now, if we're in your site, we know that it needs to be updated in 3 ways. 1, you tell us, you call us, you say, I see this yellow bar, I need you to update it. Or 2, if we're in your website updating something else and notice that you need it, then we'll ask if you want us to. Or some people give us permission to update their site with each new release so that it just happens automatically. Okay, so enough lecturing about that and groundwork. Now we can talk about fun stuff that you're actually here to learn about, which is how you update your site, right? So, there are lots of ways that you can modify your website. And I have this fancy little chart that shows you them all. So, the thing that we won't be talking about today is how to edit menus. We won't be talking about that. Everything else we should get to, and at the end, if we have time and you're interested, I'll show you how to embed videos. Because lots of people want to know that. It's cool. Okay, so let's get started. Everybody's admin section of their website is located at their domain /wp-admin. So I am going to take a journey out to website land, and I'm going to go out using that same address, and I'm going to log into our admin section of our site. So I go out to http://mayecreate.com/wp-admin. And then I hit enter. And as you can see, it looks a lot like the screen that we just saw in the PowerPoint. So from here, you just enter in your username and password. And then you click login. Now, what's really cool is if you do lose your password, you can retrieve it. That's what this little button down here is for. So occasionally people lose their passwords, and that's totally fine. You can get it back. And then click login. And now we're landing on our dashboard page. So I'm going to take you back out to the PowerPoint for just a minute, and I'm going to talk about the anatomy of your dashboard. Because there's a lot of stuff in here, and I feel like if we break it down into usable chunks, it's going to make a lot more sense when you're trying to find what you need to do. So the first part of the admin section I would like to talk about is your main menu. So your main menu is located on the left side of the site. Now you will only see this main menu when you are actually logged into the admin section. So this main menu contains almost anything that you want to do within your admin section, and it lets you go from one admin page to another. Now this top bar is the shortcut menu. So there's a lot of links that are repetitive up on the top bar that are also on the main menu. But the shortcut menu offers you some more flexibility as well, because it's actually present whenever you're logged in. So it's on the front end of your website when you're logged in, and also in the administrative end of your website when you're logged in. And it allows you to get quickly from the admin section to the front end of your website back and forth and edit things quickly versus having to go and find them in your admin section. If you click on your site name, it will take you to the home page of your website. I use this all the time. And actually I like to hold down my control button and then click, and it opens it up in a new tab for me. So that's a very nice shortcut. Okay, so this is the header of each page. And the page header lets you know what page you're on. It allows you to change your page settings, and we'll discuss those in a moment. And it also tells you notifications and updates about uncompleted tasks or plugins that need to be updated. It'll display all that up in the header. And it changes based on which page you're on. So each page is going to have different headers. Internally, this is your page body. It displays your editing options on each page, so it's different on every single page, and it also gives you additional navigational elements. So each page body has action panels within it. That's what all these little boxes are. And there are multiple buttons within the action panels. So I like to think of the gray buttons, the little ones like save draft and reset. I think of those like, that's going to save something, but it's not going to make it permanent for the public to view it. Generally, that's what it is. Or it's taking me to another page within my admin section so I can complete the step that I started. Now, your blue buttons are the ones that permanently publish things. So when I say permanent, I mean like nothing's really permanent. You can always undo anything. But they are more action buttons. They make stuff happen. So if you're looking to make something happen on a page, look for the blue button because that's the one you need to click. Okay. So I just talked a moment ago about how in the header of the site there's screen options. So each screen is actually modifiable to meet your needs. And I tell you about this because if you are going to be updating your website a lot, you want it to be as efficient as possible for you to get in, get the job done, not get confused, and get back out. So you can go back to your normal job, right? Because none of you guys do this for a living, so it doesn't make sense for you to have a bunch of clutter in your area. So, for example, if I click on the Screen Options tab in my dashboard, I get these options to show on my screen, and I can check or uncheck the ones. If they're checked, they will display on my screen, and if they are unchecked, they will not display in the body of the screen. You can also change the number of columns in your screen layout. So for those of you who may have like this amazing big computer monitor at work, and then you go home and you have this little laptop, you may want to alter the number of columns that you're looking at your editing space in. I know that when I look at my editing space on our little Chromebook, things overlap, and so I can only look at it with one column. But when I'm on this gigantic screen at work, I can see two columns, and it's or three or four, and it's totally fine, and I can get some good editing done. Okay, so we're going to talk about adding users, and then we'll be back out and we'll look in the admin section of our website again. So bear with me here. I know it seems like lecture, but we're going to get to action in just a second. So there's different types of WordPress users, and this is important for those of us who have people that help us maintain our website. So if it's not just you, then you may have varying user levels for your website. Anybody who has all access to everything has an administrator user level. That means that you can change the settings of the site. That means you can break the site and make it not viewable even to the public anymore. So there's lots of positive things to being an administrator, and then there's some negative things too, because if you don't know what's going on, you can break stuff, and then you call me and you're like, oh my gosh, it's all broken, and I'm like, it's cool, we'll get it fixed. Don't change that anymore. Then we have the editor level. And the editor is somebody who can actually publish things and manage things, and they can also manage other people's posts or pages as well. But they can't get to those settings. They can only break certain things in the site. They can't break the whole site. Authors. So these are people who can manage and publish their own posts. So if you trust somebody enough to write for your blog, but you don't trust them to be able to edit anything that you added to your blog, they would be an author. And then contributors. So these are people who can write and manage their own posts, but they can't publish them. So let's say that you're like, I'm going to have an intern. I'm going to have a marketing intern this summer, and him, she, or either one of them, he or she, is going to write posts for our blog. But I want to make sure that I read everything that they write, because it has to meet my standards. You may set them up as a contributor, because that means that they can't publish anything. Only you can. So they put their information in, they let you know it's there, and then you go back in and you read it and approve it. And then last but not least, you've got subscribers. So these people can read the stuff in your website, they could comment on things, but they can't actually add information to your website. Okay, so we're going to go back out to our admin section, and we're going to add a user, create a user level, and we're going to investigate our screen options. Here we go. Okay, so give it a second to re-download. I know it takes a moment. So we're out in our dashboard, and if I would like to add a user to my WordPress site, I go over to my users button on my main navigation, and I scroll over and I click add new. To add a new user, I simply add a username. I add an email. So the thing that differentiates one user from another in the WordPress system is their email. You cannot have two users with the same email. So everyone needs to have their own unique email address if they are going to have a unique login to your website. So let's see if I have one for my Gmail account. Okay, so my first name, my last name, and my website, and my password. One nice feature is that I can send my password to a new user via email. So if you're making a password for your boss or for your friend or your intern or whatever, you can send it to them via email, and then they always have it for their records. And then you can choose the subscriber level or the user role. So those are the things that we just talked about. I'm an administrator, so I'm going to click add new user. I spelled my name wrong. There we go. Okay, so now what I'm looking at is all of the users within my website. If I want to delete a user, I want to delete this one. So I'm going to click delete. Now here's a very nice thing as well. So let's say that you do have an intern and they do publish things to the website and you wanted them to be displayed as their work. Maybe it's something that allows them to get credit in school or something like that. When you delete their user from your website, you have the option to either delete all the posts that they made, or you can attribute posts to someone else. So I could say, well, I want all my posts to go back to me, Monica. And then I confirm my deletion, and the user is deleted. Any questions about adding or deleting users? Awesome. Okay. So now let's look at some screen options. And to do this, I think it's easiest to tackle this within, go to posts. And we'll click on an actual post here. Because there's all kinds of different things that you can see in a post. All right, so the Screen Options tab is located in the upper right of the screen. So I'm going to click on the Screen Options tab, and you can see that there are lots of different things that I can add and subtract from this. So I don't know that I need to have custom fields on this. We don't use custom fields in any of our blog posts. Probably don't need to have author, like the revisions, need the featured image. Yeah, I think that's all I need. So if I close my screen options, those items go away. Now if I would want to add them, so let's say that I want to add an all-in-one SEO pack, I check the box, and when I scroll down, and this might be a little jumpy for you guys, but I just wanted to show you that it shows up. I scroll down to the bottom of the screen, and all-in-one SEO pack displays. So it's just click for on, click for off. Another thing that you can do, if I don't want to have any of these tabs open, I can click and they close. You can also rearrange them. So if I want to move my revisions tab over into my sidebar over here, I can click until I see the gray dashed lines around it, and then I drop it and I can place it in here. And once again, I can close it if I don't want to see it. So these are just different ways. Like if you find yourself using an action panel a lot, then put it someplace where it's easy for you to get to and find, so that you don't have as much of a navigational challenge getting from one piece of information to the other. Any questions about screen options? Then we're going to go back out to the PowerPoint, and we're going to talk about pages and posts. So I made this lovely illustration for everybody. So there's information on your site, and that information is things like text, images, files, links, videos. These are all things that you see on the page of a website, right? So that information has to be displayed somehow, so it can be displayed on a page, or alternately we can display it on a post. And that's how the public gets to see the information on your site, by putting it on a page or a post. Otherwise, they would literally be typing in like the exact name of the image that you want them to look at, which is not friendly, right? So what's the difference between these two types of ways to display information on a page? And why is it important? So let's first answer the latter question. Why is it important? So it's important that we understand the difference between pages and posts, so that way we know where to go to edit the information in the website. So we're going to look at things that make posts unique and pages unique, so that when you're looking to find the information that you want to edit in your website, you know where to go to find it in the administrative section. And there's shortcuts to get there too, but I think it's good that we understand what the two items are. So when talking about posts, think of timely information, while pages are more static information, so things that don't change as often. Posts, you keep adding, they keep rolling. Posts are very modular, so they can be on multiple pages. So if you've got information that's on your home page and on your contact page and on your About Us page, and it's all listed in a sidebar, that's probably a post. Pages are confined to their format, and they are only displayed on one page, unless Marie does some fabulous mojo for you, in which case we will let you know. So she can make all kinds of magic happen. Posts are divided by categories, while pages have parent pages. You can't display a page within a post, but you can display, but you can display one or multiple posts on a page. When you're looking at the URL for a post, it's going to be longer, and it usually includes the date, while the pages actually have a shorter URL, and it usually is just the name of the website and then the page name. So when you're trying to differentiate between these two things, the posts are like a blog entry, a Facebook status update, a Twitter tweet, or one of those very modular pieces of information, while pages, if you were going to think of it as like a Word document or a PowerPoint slide, something that you have to go back to that exact document and edit it. It's not going to change very often. So pages, note that most places on the navigation actually link to a page within your site. So we'll look at this in a second. If there are posts displayed on a page, you actually go to edit the individual posts. You don't go to the page to edit those posts. And remember that they are organized by parent pages. So this is an example of the structure of pages. And this is sort of like a site outline, right? So you have parent pages and subpages, and that is the structure of your website. So if you navigated over the second page listing on your website navigation, you might have a drop-down menu for the 3 pages that are below it. Examples of pages, things that don't change very often, would be your home page or your contact page, hours, a menu. Sometimes staff and board might be a page, but sometimes they're posts too. It just depends on how often that changes and how you want it to act. So here's an example of a page. This is the navigation bar, linking to all the pages within the site. And here's the page-specific content. I'm going to observe these two things, and I'm going to think to myself, what is this? Is this a page or a post? And I have determined that it's a page because it just has one big entry on it. There's no read more links anywhere. And it's actually listed and highlighted on the main navigation. So contact, this is the contact page, is highlighted on the main navigation up here. And it has a straightforward URL. If you were to look at the URL for this page, it's makecreate.com/contact. So it's very straightforward. There's no numbers in it. This lets me know that this is actually a page. So posts now ultimately are grouped into categories, and then we display them on a page. So there's a whole bunch of pages or posts on our page. So they can be displayed in more than one page or more than one category. If you have an article that you think is homepage worthy and that you also want to put on your blog page, well, if you've got the ability to put it in those two places, you just check two boxes and it happens. So it's kind of exciting. Oops. So examples of posts. So sometimes, like I said, if your staff rolls over a lot, we may display your staff pages as posts. If you have a bunch of board members and you want to have bios with them, but the first page is just a bunch of pictures, then they might be displayed as posts. And then products, blogs, testimonials, pretty much anything that needs to be displayed on more than one page, we always put it in a post. Okay, so we're going to look at an example of a page of posts. So what I'm looking at right now is a page of posts, and let me explain to you why I have decided that this is a page of posts. There's multiple entries on this page. This is one post. I can see that there's a read more link at the bottom of every entry. And also note that, there's dates on this page, there's, what category it's in. So all these things, like, alert me, like, this is actually your post. It's not a page. Also, there's nothing highlighted in this main navigation bar up here. So now I clicked on that read more link, and this is where I land. I land on the trackbacks and pingbacks page. This is my page specific content. It is dated. And since it's not on the main navigation and the URL is super long and it has dates in it, I would guess, even if I just that it would not actually be edited in a page, I would edit it in a post. So if you're still not sure about posts and pages or how they're used within your website, that's totally okay. We can talk about it in one-on-one training, or you can call us with like a specific question with it, or we'll totally work with you to help you understand where everything is edited. Okay, so now we briefly glanced at the admin section, and you can see there's all types of places where you enter information in, and we know what the front end of a page looks like. So let's figure out how they correlate to one another. So here's the front end of the page that we had just looked at. And here's an overlay of what it looks like in the admin section of the site. So the title of the website is displayed in this little bar. The URL of where the page is located is called the permalink as well. Within WordPress, they call it a permalink. It's located obviously at the top of your browser and underneath the title. And then the body or the content of your page is located within this little editing box in the admin section and underneath the title on the public side of the site. Okay, so we're going to go out and we're going to look at some quick edit and sorting features for pages and posts. Any questions right now? Alrighty. So we're just going to click on all posts right now, so we can look at all these sorting features that you have available to us. So when you first get started on your website, you've got a few posts, you've got a few pages, it's totally fine. But eventually, as you can see, you get a whole bunch of stuff in there. And then it starts to just kind of get a little out of control. So we have 367 posts right now on our website. And so all of these items are, if I'm just looking for one post, I surely don't want to scroll through it all, and I don't want to go out to the front end of my website and search for it there. So I can sort this information in a number of ways. I can sort it by month if I remember what month I published it. I could sort it by category if I remember what category I put it in. You can also sort, or you can also search. So if I want to search for a post with the word test in it, I just type in the word test and I search post. And it displays for me all of the blog posts that we've written with the word test in it. So there's still 39 items here, and I could page through them to find which one I wanted. Another thing that I wanted to quickly address is the quick edit feature within this part of the site. So if you click edit over here, or if you click the title of your post, it will actually open up the window that allows you to edit your page or your post. If I click quick edit, I have the ability to edit certain things about that post without actually having to download or load all the information. I shouldn't say download, without having to load all of the information in the page. So it's faster, it's a faster turnaround. And you can also edit in bulk with the quick edit feature. So if all of these posts here, I decide I want to also add to another category of my site. Let's say that, you know, I added a new category of posts. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick all the posts in the site that I think would also go in that category, and I can quick edit them. If I click edit and then click apply, it will give me editing options for these posts that I have together. And if I decide, you know what, I don't think that this one actually belongs in there, I can just click the X and it goes away. So I could add it to a new category. I could change the author, bulk. I could change whether it was published or not. Let's say that you've got a bunch of people that are no longer on your staff and they're entered as posts. You may select all those people, go in and change the status to draft, and it would automatically pull them off of your site. You can also move them to the trash. And very quickly, moving things to the trash. So similar to your computer, when you move things to the trash, that doesn't mean that you deleted them forever. It means that you removed them from your active work environment. When you move it to the trash, you have to empty your trash in order for it to be truly deleted. So if you log in and something's just not there, and that happens sometimes, you may have accidentally moved it to the trash. So just click on your trash link right up here, and that'll take you out to the trash, and you can see if your article is in there. If I'm going to quick edit a specific post, I click quick edit, and it gives me all kinds of different options. You can change the title of it. The slug is part of the domain name, so if I wanted to make this a lot shorter, I can make it a lot shorter. So all kinds of different things. And then you would click update, the blue button, a fanciness, fancy update. Okay, so let's go ahead and we are going to click on pages. And we're going to select a page. Let's see if I already have a text page made. I often do. No, I don't. Let's click add new. I'm going to make a new page for myself. So, this is our page editing interface. Also, the post editing interface looks like pretty much identical to it with the exception of a few small things. So let's go back out to the PowerPoint, and I'm going to talk a little bit about all these different options up in the header of the screen so that way we can understand what they all do. So I've kind of taken a screenshot of the corner of the screen because it shows pretty much everything I wanted to show. I wanted things to be big so everybody could see it. So the first thing that's really good to take note of is that there's these two tabs in the upper right-hand corner of this action panel, Visual and HTML tabs. So the Visual tab shows you sort of a what you see is what you get interface, but not exactly, because it doesn't look exactly the same in your admin session as it does on the front side of the website. And then it gives you an HTML tab. And so if you ever log into your website after we've been updating it, we tend to be dorks and we like to do things in HTML because we see that, and it's actually faster for us than using the interface. So if everything looks like gobbledygook, it's because it's in HTML. So you can just click that visual tab and go right back to what you're used to seeing. There's this button in your action panel that allows you to display and hide buttons, and it's called the kitchen sink. So if you get in and some of your buttons are hidden, you can click the kitchen sink button and they will display. Or if you don't want to see them all, you can click the kitchen sink button and they'll go away. The preview changes button is really helpful when you're editing information. It allows you to see the changes that you've made on your page without actually having to publish it. So maybe you're adding a new person to your staff page and you want to see what that page looks like before publishing it, because you want to make sure that you didn't like over edit something and make something else move. You click preview changes, you can see it just the way that it's going to render online without actually having to make it viewable to the public. The status of your posts. So right now this post is published. Now if for some reason maybe something changes, like let's say you had an article written that has time sensitive data in it and it's no longer relevant, then you may want to actually go in and take that post down. But you may not want to delete it because maybe next year this time-sensitive data is still going to be applicable between those dates. It's just not right now. So you can just save it as a draft, and then you can republish it next year instead of having to rewrite it all. Also on that same note, before I move on to revisions, you guys obviously are all busy people, and you may not have time to sit down and write just one blog article a week. But you may have time to write 2 a month, and you may have to block that time off, and maybe you do it just one day a week, or maybe you just do it once a quarter. So once a quarter you block off time to write 1 blog article a month, and then you can schedule them to publish into the future. So you don't have to publish everything right now. You can literally schedule it to publish whenever you want it to go out. And that's very nice because it allows your viewers to see, hey, these people update their website regularly, and that builds trust with them, and it also builds trust with Google, and it makes Google think, hey, these guys actually care about their stuff. I guess I should probably go out here and read it more often to make sure that I know everything that's going on their site. So it's a good system to use. Okay, so the revisions action panel. So similar to when you delete it, it moves to the trash. Well, when you revise it, it keeps all your revisions. So you're not losing everything that you've done. So even if you go in and edit something, and you click update and it permanently publishes out online, and then you look at it and then you're like, whoa, what did I just do here? You can just go back to the last set of revisions and you can start over again if you need to go back that far, because it's all there. Also, there's an autosave feature. So if you're working on something and you get called away, your computer will have autosaved it. And when you next log into your website, it will, and go to this post or page, it will have a red notification up in the header that says, hey, did you know that there's actually a newer version of this page available? Do you want to use that one, or do you want to use the one that's currently here? So it will alert you when it auto-saves things. Sort of like Microsoft Word does it, right? Okay. So within your editing capabilities, you can edit the style of the text on the page. And we've actually built a number of styles for you. And we do this on purpose because we use them and because it'll help everything be consistent and professional. So these are all called H tags. So there's an H1 tag, which is actually used for the title of your page. And that is the most important information on the page in Google Drive. And so we only want to use it once. So for the most part, none of you will use an H1 tag ever because it's already automatically used for you. So even if you want text to be really big, you probably should not use the H1 tag because Google thinks that you have two titles on the page, and that's not what you're trying to do. So you would use the other H styles in order of hierarchy. They're pretty self-explanatory. H2 is bigger than H5. Yeah. So the question was, is it industry standard to use the H tags in order to format the titles on the page, and is it code? And yeah, the answer is yes. And the neat thing about it is that through the WordPress interface, you don't actually have to wrap everything in code. You just highlight it and then select whatever size you want, and it wraps it in the code correctly for you. And it is industry standard because that's how search engines actually read the information in your page in order of importance. So H1 is most important, H2 is second most important, H3, and so on and so forth. Does that answer your question? The other people can hear you when you're on the phone, but the people who will watch this later won't hear the question through the YouTube video because we're recording this on video. And no, and it's totally cool. No, it's fine. So that way everybody can hear the question. And yeah. And the other nice thing about using these tags is that since they're in order of size and color and importance, it actually allows the information in your page to be organized in such a way that it's kind of like a textbook and people can read it easier that way too. And last but not least, it actually saves you time. Because believe it or not, if you had to go in, actually you will definitely do this after I explain it. So when you apply an H2 tag, you select the text and choose H2 tag. And if you are going to do it manually, you would have to select the text, select the font, select the color, and select the size. So there's a lot more selecting that goes on. It's much easier to just do. And if you're me, you've actually forgotten what you're supposed to do to format it, and so then you have to go look it up and write it down every time. It's not fun. So. Okay, so we are going to go out to the admin. It's actually in your style sheet. So the question was the colors and the font styles that are applied to that text, is that saved into your theme? And yeah, it's in a style sheet. So we go through and based on the designs that you approve, we create styles that correlate with what WordPress is doing. So although it does not look the same in your admin section, it will pick it up when it displays on the browser. Does that make sense? And so if you need another one created or if you want a color change, you just tell us and we'll go in and it like literally takes a second. It's pretty slick. Okay, like if you wanted to find that information, you can find it in the, I believe it's in the, let's get out there. I'll look and I'll tell you where it's at. It's not in your face. It is in code, but it is in there in a place where you could see it. So if you clicked on the appearance tab and then clicked on editor, this is your CSS style sheet. And you can see, like, I mean, so think through it, adds a little bit of code. I don't know how much coding experience you have, but the body of the page, which we talked about where the body of the page is, right, in just this exercise, all of that, here's the font family for it. And what this is doing here is Très Boucher is the main one, yeah. And then as you go down, you'll find your H tags. So we have our logo H1. And I can scroll down forever. I'm not sure where I'm going to find them at. Let me see if I can do Control F and find H2. Okay, here we go. So this tells me what my H tags look like. So all the H1 tags in my site they're black and they are Georgia. So the first font listed here is the font that's actually applied to them. And then what we're doing is we're saying, well, if you don't have Georgia on your computer, why don't you go ahead and use Times New Roman? And if you don't have Times New Roman, go ahead and use blah, blah, blah. So yeah, and then you can just check all that out in there. Fun. That was a good question. I've never had that question before, so I'm like, yay, I got to talk about code today. Okay, sorry, I'm a dork. All right, so we are. Well, I love it when things match. I'm a matcher, so I'm trying to get over the fact that my earrings don't have to perfectly match every shirt, and they can actually be complementary colors. So, yeah. All right. So let's move forward and let's talk a little bit about editing text. And I'm going to go back to my pages. And let's see if my test page here, let's see if it saved itself as a draft. Because I don't know if it did or not. Might or might not. Nope, it didn't. All right, excellent. So let's click Add New to add a new page. So the first thing I need to do on my page is I need to add a title. So this is the title of my page. And one thing to think about, if you're not the only person that's going to blog on your site, is how you want to punctuate and capitalize the titles on all of your entries. So do you want to capitalize 2-letter words, 1-letter words, 3-letter words, every word? Do you want to have periods at the end of the titles? All these things, all these consistencies work together to make your website look professional. So even if you are doing it on your own, deciding on those techniques will help your website look consistent instead of being different every time. All right, so now we want to put some text in here. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to get some more momentum. And I'm going to wait for it to load. Okay, let's see if there's anything else I need to talk about here while we're waiting for it to load. So I spoke briefly about the Show Hide Kitchen Sink button. So if I click on this button, things go away. If I click on it again, buttons reappear. So just ways to minimize your workspace and simplify what you're doing. Also, we talked a little bit about the status. So here's how you would edit, whether you want it to be draft or pending review. After it's been published will show up here as your status. Also, you have the ability to change the visibility of every post. So it can be a public post or a password protected post. And what that means when it's password protected is that there is one password that protects the post. So not every user has a different password, but there's just one password on the post. And so sometimes I use this as maybe I've got a bunch of pictures that I want a client to see and I want them to be very organized. So I'll put them all into a post and then I'll password protect it and I'll send them the link to the post with the password. And then they can get in and look at it, but anybody else who happened upon it would not see them. And then if it's private, that means that you have to be logged into the website to see it. And if you have an administrative, like members only section on your site, then there's even more ways that you can make a post private and sort it with different user levels. But for the most part, this would be somebody who's only logged into your site. Okay, so we're going to go back out and we're going to copy some more of this in here. Copy and paste. All right, so let's apply some styles to this. I'm going to hit enter. All right, so let's say that this is the second most important piece of information on my page after the header. So I'm going to go over here to paragraph. This is where all my headings live, and I'm going to choose heading 2. This is heading 2. Now, heading 2 does not look the same way on the public side of my website. It's not black, it's not like this, but this gives me the idea of what the size hierarchy is. Okay, and let's also add a heading 3. Okay, so let's say that, okay, now I don't want to have this be heading 3 anymore. So how do I make this go away, right? It took me a while to figure this out, and that's why I tell you this. Not because I don't think you're smart enough to figure it out on your own, but because it's nice to know. So if I want it to go away, I go back to my heading and I click Format, and it goes away. Yay, right? All right. Also know that there are 2 sizes of, I'm going to call them returns for lack of a better word. So you notice that in between these 2 lines, there's almost a full cursor worth of space, and that's what I would call a hard return. It's like when you hit enter, right? And there's also a line break. And a line break, I'm going to put my cursor right here, and I'm going to hit shift and enter. Oops. There we go. Shift and enter, and that gives me a little line break, right? So it just kind of continues stuff down to the next line. Now, the thing is that when you have a hard return, it actually creates 2 paragraphs. So you can format the font differently in both. While when you use a page break, page break, then it's basically all in the same paragraph. So if I just want this font here to be heading 3, oh, I just messed it up. Hold on a second, guys. I'm just going to change this text here to be heading 3. Great. It's acting crazy. Of course it acts crazy whenever I'm talking to you guys, right? It can't act crazy whenever I'm just working on it on my own. All right, so I'm trying to illustrate here. No, it's going to keep doing it. It won't let me do it anyway, basically, is what I'm trying to say. If you want it to be formatted differently, you need to have a hard return, and then you can format it with another font size. Apparently, it's smarter than I am, and it's not going to listen to me. I was trying to illustrate something. Now, just because there's a big space in between your titles and your content here does not mean that there's a big space out there. Usually we take those big spaces out because we know you don't like them. So keep that in mind. Knowing that things could be different on the back end versus the front end, it's good to try to preview. So let's preview our page and take a look at it. So here is my H2 tag. Here's my content. Here's my H4 tags. Here's my content. I don't really love it. I think it could be cooler, right? So let's go back over here. Maybe this should be an H4 tag, or it's an H5 tag even. All right. So let's come back out here and let's refresh this page. That looks better, doesn't it? I was kind of expecting it to look more like this, you know. So, let's go ahead and talk about one other really fun thing to add information to your site, which is, okay, so have any of you guys ever copied and pasted information from Microsoft Word into an email? And if you have, has it ever been completely crazy? and like your bullet points actually fall out of the email and your titles are like not what you expected at all. And yeah, it's really crazy. So basically what happens is your word processing program writes in a code that's sort of like HTML, enough like HTML that your email client and your website are going to pick up pieces of it, but not so much like HTML that it's actually going to work right, which is kind of a bummer. So what you can do is use one of these nice buttons right here. So there's two buttons. One of them is paste as plain text. Use paste as plain text when you want to wipe out all the formatting. You don't want to have anything in it. For example, if I copied and pasted this stuff right here, which has been formatted and has HTML in it, I'm going to choose this. I'm going to paste my text in here. Notice how there is no formatting anymore. There's no big words, there's no small words, it's just words. I can even choose that I don't want to have line breaks, which would take out all my line breaks. When I insert it, it's just going to be a big blob of text. So there's a big difference between the way this looks and the way this looks, right? Now the other way that you can do it is you can paste from Word. So let's say that when you're in Microsoft Word, across the top, you know, there's all those different heading styles and stuff. Well, you can keep those. You can keep your bulleted list. You can do your formatting there, and then you can move it over into your website by choosing the Paste from Microsoft Word button, and it would work the exact same way as your paste as plain text. So you would just click it, you click paste, it maintains your formatting, but it cleans out all the grossness that Microsoft Word puts in there that isn't really HTML, and it just like makes it spick and span. And then you can click insert. And then you have nicely formatted content. And I just used it as an example here, copying and pasting from HTML. It works the exact same way from Word. So I encourage you to use this feature because it will save you heartache. And one thing also that I would like to show you is the visual, and they call it now text. So when I switch from visual to text mode, you can see the wrapping of the H2 tags here. You can see the H4 tags. This is a non-breaking space. Anyway, you can see the code in it right now is what I'm trying to show you. So if you ever get in and you're like, whoa, what's happening here? It's totally okay. Just click back on visual mode, and now it looks the way that I expected it to look. Okay, so we're going to go back out to PowerPoint briefly, and we're going to talk about just a few tips, right? So one thing that we just did is we went from the back of the site to the front of the site, checking early and checking often, because I didn't like the way that the H5 page looked. It was not the way I thought it would be. But when I switched it, it looked great. Now, I wouldn't have wanted probably to publish that. I would want to test it. So realize it doesn't look the same from the front to the back. Check early, check often. Rules of thumb is that if everything is bold, nothing is bold. So don't make everything bold. It's not nice. If everything is big, nothing is big. So I know that sometimes you're really excited about everything that you're saying, but you can't be excited about everything or nobody's going to read anything. And also, don't underline things that are not links, because it looks like a link and people try to click on it, and that's very frustrating. Now tricks. We talked about Shift Enter, so that's like our little return, and when we're pasting from Word, we're going to click on the little Word button. And then also to unformat things, you go back to your paragraph drop down and you choose format. And it clears it all out. Okay, so now we're going to add a post. So we just looked at a page, now we're going to add a post. So Control Shift. Yeah. Alright, so our page interface looks like this, right? The one thing that I don't have displaying in here it is. So before I post this page, if I choose no parent page, it will display in my main navigation for my site on my website. It may not work that way on your website, but that's the way it works on mine. So if I want to post this page, I'm going to make sure that it goes underneath another page because I don't want to add any more to that main navigation. So I can choose, let's see, I choose contact. It doesn't have anything else underneath it. And then I can click update. And then let's go out to the website and see if we can find it. Let's see if we have the submenu programming like me. All right, so I put it underneath my contact page now that my page is fully loaded. So I click on contact, and of course it's not there because I must not have submenus enabled on that page. All right, sorry guys, false call. All right, let's put it underneath our team. How does that sound? I know it's there. All right, so now I'm going to click on our team. And it still doesn't live there. Now I'm mad at it. Sorry guys, I wanted to show you up there, but apparently my submenus are not my friends. Okay, we're putting it under web design now. Last try, I promise. I want to show you up on the page. Okay, so what we do, it will be underneath web design. No, it's not. No. Okay, I'm mad at it. I'm sorry. I thought it would be there, but apparently I don't have that type of menu on my site. And this is why we do menus training separately, because nobody's menus are the same, right? Okay. So we are going to add a post. I'm on the front end of my website, and if I would like to add something new, I can click New, Post, and it will take me into the new post screen. So it's kind of clever, right? So let's add a new title for our post. New title for this post. And I know that you guys are going to notice this, but it looks a lot the same as a page. I mean, it's pretty much exactly the same. The differences that you're going to see right now is that there is a date in this URL. And instead of giving me the pages over there that I was fighting with, because everything is in custom menus, I've got categories now, so I can choose what categories I want my post to be in. Okay, I think working on that. Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to illustrate in adding a post is that there are so many different ways to get here. You can choose adding a post from the top of the screen. You can click on post and click add new. If you're on all posts, there's an add new button. So there's so many ways to get here and add things. There is no right way or wrong way. It's just whatever way works for you. So just use the way that you're most comfortable with. Okay. We are going to talk a little bit about writing page titles and why that's important. Okay, so writing a page title that actually applies to your page or post lets browsers and viewers know what's on your page. And I know that seems like really straightforward and logical, but still sometimes pages don't make a lot of sense. So think about the things that people are going to look for the content within the page with. Like, what words will people use to find that page? And try to title it with those words, because that allows Google to know what is in your page and also let viewers know. So we already know where the title is located on the back of the site, right here. And it's also listed right here in the URL. On the front of the site, we know that it's listed here, and it's also listed in the URL. But one thing that we didn't talk about is that the title of your page is also listed up in the tab of your browser. And it's also listed in your listing in Google for that page. So titling your page something that actually makes sense to people is a very strong practice. it allows you to educate them and get people to click on your website, which ultimately, the more people that get to our website, the better, right? Now, adding a post, we just showed ourselves that we choose a category. If you don't choose a category, then it will be in your default post category. We have chosen the default post category for you. We generally pick the category that is most likely to get posted to. So it's different for every website. We assess it on a business by business basis. We talked a little bit about scheduling posts, scheduling them to release in the future and why that's positive. And just to reiterate, it lets Google know that you're actively adding content, and it also lets people know that your website is regularly updated. Another thing that's different about adding a post is we have the ability to add a read more link, and we're going to practice adding those in just a moment. Okay, adding links. So when we get back out into the admin section, we're going to add some links to this text on our site. So we're going to look at how to add a link and when to open the link in a new window. So if you have a PDF that you've uploaded and you want people to download from your site, we suggest that you open it in a new window. And I prefer it do this, and many people prefer that it do this, because if it takes a few minutes for it to download, you're not actually forcing them to sit and wait for that PDF to download. They can go back to their other tab and continue to browse your site. Also, you want to open links to other websites in a new window, because you don't want people to actually leave your site. You want to give props to your resellers and your partners and your sponsors, but you don't want to do it at the cost of losing somebody from your website. So we want to keep our website open and open the other person's website. You can use pictures as links, and then also along the same lines of creating this web of words for Google to understand what's in your site. Choose the words that you want to link to another page wisely. So instead of using the words like click here for more information, you could link words that actually represent the page that you're linking to. So if you were going to link to a page that was more information about a specific event, let's say it's XYZ fundraiser, make your link around the words more information for XYZ fundraiser. That way Google knows that that page is about XYZ fundraiser. It's not just nothingness. Does that make sense? Because click here does not give somebody a direction, nor does it give Google a direction. Anyway, do you have questions about that? Let me know. All right, so let's go back out. So we still have Lorem Ipsum open. Let's put some more Lorem Ipsum in. We're going to add a new post. And after the talk that we just had about adding titles, I think that I should probably add a new title to this post. Now I know that when I post this post to my website, it's actually going to go out to Facebook too. So I want to make sure that I title it something that lets people know that we're in training and it's probably not something that they need to read. So using Lorem Ipsum to do WordPress training. Okay, there you go. Now note that when I change my title, the URL of my page did not change. So if I want to change this, I can just type in there and click OK. We do want them to correlate. Okay, now we chose the category. I'm using quirky remarks. And we want to add a link. So let's give ourselves a subtitle or two. Once again. All right, so oops, I want that to be heading 3. Heading 3. Heading 2. Let's link to some stuff. So I can link by clicking on my Insert Edit Link button. Now note that when I have nothing highlighted, these buttons are not even active for me. It still tells me what they are when I hover over them, but I can't use them. So you have to highlight your stuff first before you can make it into a link. So you click Insert Edit Link. Now there's lots of different ways within this structure that I can actually add a link. So I can just type it in. I can say I'm going to go to MeCreate, which is totally fine. And I'm in the MeCreate website, so I probably don't need to tell it to open in a new window or tab. Let's just add a link. Now I see that I've got a link. And when I put my cursor inside of my link, I notice that my link buttons are actually highlighted. So let's add another link. We're going to link out to the Tranquility website. So now the Tranquility website is not part of my website, so I want to check the box that opens it in a new tab. And I can click Add Link. All right, so let's say that I want to link to a piece of information that's within my website. Down at the bottom, you can search, just the same way that you can search through Pages and Posts when we look at the searching and sorting features, and choose what you want to link to. So anything that has a date next to it is a post. Anything that has the word page next to it is a page. And you can search for whatever you want. So let's search for text. And I think, let's do this one. Now, since I'm linking to something that's still within my website, I don't want to open it in a new tab anymore, and I want to click Add Link. Now, let's preview it. Let's see if it works. Okay. So, here are my links. Very fancy. If I click on this link, it takes me to the home page, which is what I asked it to do. So that one works. I'm going to click that. Okay, now this one, ooh, it opens up a new tab. That's what I wanted it to do, and it takes me to the Tranquility website. That's awesome. All right, and last but not least, this was the link that I made that goes to a post within my website. So if I click on it, it takes me to the other post within my website. Any questions about adding links? Okay. The other thing that we haven't done on our post. Okay. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So I think what you're asking is, are you actually creating pages, or are you pulling the information from someplace else whenever you're making a page or a post? And the answer is that you are pulling it from someplace else. All this information that we're entering is actually stored in a database. And so your question about photos is your photos are stored in a database, and you can get to them from anywhere in the site. So if you want to have one, you can upload a photo once and you can share it between multiple posts or pages because it's stored in the database. If you're going to edit a photo differently, like if you're going to flip it or shrink it or something like that, then you can upload it again and reformat it, and that's not a problem. You can, yeah, so it just depends on how you want to use your photos. And we're going to talk about photos next, actually, so that's a good question. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about right now before we talk about photos is adding a read more link. So if I want to add a read more link after my first paragraph, I go up to the nifty insert more tag, and I click on it, and it adds this dotted line with the word more after it. And then when I publish my page, if I go to the quirky remarks category, it will be listed on there. And I think it would be easiest to see this in the resources category. So I'm going to choose resources. And I'm going to update my page. Okay, well I could click the view post to view it on the front end of my site button right now. But that would show me just this post. And I want to make sure that my read more button is working. So I need to go to the page containing all these posts. So that's in my resources section. If I click on resources, the post that I just put up is right here. And this isn't the entire post. This is just to the read more tag. And if I click on the read more tag, it takes me to the page with everything on it. Right where the read more tag is listed. So it pulls you down the page some. Also note that your posts are all posted in date order. So the most recent thing is on top, the oldest thing is on bottom. If you want to move something from the bottom to the top, just change the date that it was posted and they'll move up. Okay, so the last thing that we have to cover is photos and PDFs, and I'm going to jump out to my PowerPoint one last time here to talk about adding photos. So know that once you place a photo in a page, you can make it smaller, but making it bigger will make it blurry. So if you need to make it bigger, you just need to delete it and replace it in the page. Add titles for your images, but don't start with a number. Images that start with a number, people think that those are actually part of your template. So unless you want it to completely ignore your picture, don't start it with a number. Adding alt tags to describe your image actually tells Google what the image is. And it also, if your image is taking a long time to load, or if for some reason it's broken, it will list that alt tag description there so that people know what's going on with that image. Adding captions is really helpful. I mean, think about a newspaper. I'm a total skimmer, so I go through and I read the captions on all the pictures before I decide to read the articles, and it gives a lot of meaning to the picture. So add captions to assist with skimmers like me. And also, real photos are so much more powerful than clip art. So if you can use real photos, use them. I understand that sometimes you don't have them, sometimes we don't have them either, and that's always a bummer. But if you can find real photos, use them. And then there's two ways that you can upload your photos. You can upload them all at once in your media library, or you can actually upload them while you are on the page or the post in your gallery there. So it's not, it's pretty flexible. Okay, so you add photos and PDFs the same way, so we're going to talk about uploading them together. Alright, so let's add a picture to this beast. So I'm going to click Add Media. So I can either insert media from other places in my site, and this is what we were just talking about. So these are pictures that are used on other posts and pages throughout my site, and I can insert one of these, or I can decide that I'm going to upload a picture. So let's go ahead. What do we want to do? We want to upload a picture? Nah, let's select one of Ellis. She's really cute. And we're going to insert her into the picture. So when I uploaded this picture, I added a title, Ellis on vacation in Dominican, and the caption I wanted to add so that people knew what was going on, and I also added the alt text. The other things that you can decide whenever you're inserting your pictures, whether you want to be left, right, centered, or nothing. So that allows like your content to wrap around your picture. So I think I want mine actually to be on the left. I'm kind of a left picture person. Now the next thing is the link to. So I can tell it that I want this picture to actually link to another website if I want to, like a button. Or I can say that I want it to link to a media file, which means that it will link to a bigger version of this picture. I can tell it don't want it to link at all, or I can tell it that I want to link to an attachment page, which would take me to another page with the bigger picture on it. So I'm going with none. And I'm going to choose a size. I like medium. So I want to insert this into the post. Oh, did I click? Aha, here we go. So here's Ellis. She's hanging out. She's on my picture. Now, it kind of bumped everything else down, but I'm not really sure. Like, I want to look and see what this looks like on the website. So let's preview our changes and see how pretty it looks. Okay, got that open in the window. So that actually doesn't look crazy at all because my column is pretty narrow and it doesn't look weird. And also note that when we code your template, we add padding along the edges of your pictures. So that way the words don't actually touch the edge of the pictures. While when you're in your admin section, the words do touch the edge of the picture. So we do try to think ahead and make sure that everything looks right when you use it. It just doesn't always care what we tell it on the admin portion of the site. Now let's say that I want to edit this picture. So I can delete it by clicking the don't sign, or I can change it. So I can make the picture smaller. The initial sizes that I have to choose from for my image are actually coded into the settings of your site so that you can use the same size of images throughout the site to make it look consistent and professional. But I understand that there are always times where it just doesn't make sense to use one of those size images. So you can change the size and make it smaller. But note that you cannot make it bigger. It won't let me make it bigger. As we said earlier, you actually have to go out and reinsert the picture. I can change the alignment, the text, all that kind of good stuff, and click update. Now my picture's smaller. All right, let's try editing an image, right? So I can click Add Media, and let's choose Ellis again. And so I see a library. I click Edit Image. And it opens me up a new page where it allows me to edit my image. So let's say that I think that Ellis should be flipped horizontally. I want her to face the inside of my page instead of the outside of my page. Now she's flipped. And if I want to, I can actually crop my image. Maybe I don't want to have all of Ellis. Maybe I just want to have a little bit of Ellis. So to start your cropping, you just click and drag. There we go. I'm going to adjust you. Oh, Ellis, you're so nice. All right, so once I have my crop selected, then I hit enter, I believe. No, it's not enter. I'll click scale image. Nope. Click save. We'll give it a whirl, right? I remember what I had to do. I had to click the crop button again. Sorry, guys. My fault. Alright, so I got to get back and I want to edit my image again. Now I'm going to click the edit image that's below. And we're going to crop it. They just updated this media section, which is, I don't know if I like it or not. Obviously, I'm still learning exactly how I want to work it. So then I click my crop button, and then it crops it. There we go. Now I can click save. So once I'm done editing my image, it opened it in a new tab for me. If I go back here, here's my post. So I can just go here and I can close this. It tells me that my image has been edited because it says refresh right here. So I can click my refresh button and it will show me what my edited image looks like. Alright, so that's what Ellis is supposed to look like. And I'm going to add a caption to this picture. It's going to be like, Ellis likes purple toothbrushes. The toothbrush is all one word. I think so. We'll see. Usually tells me if I'm in there. Okay, so I think that the medium size is a great size. I want this one to actually be right aligned. I don't want it to link to anything. Actually, no. Let's do a custom URL so you can see what it's like. So I have my custom URL, and I'm just going to link it to employee.net. Enter it into the post. There's Alice. She's so fancy. Now I'm going to preview my changes and see what it looks like. So I have my preview changes panel already open in another tab, so I can click over here. So I'm not really sure about that alignment. For our purposes, I think it's okay. But I would definitely be editing it if it were going to be real. Okay. Now, let's look at uploading items. So if I want to upload files, it's super easy. If you've got two monitors, you can drag and drop the files into the space to upload, or you can click Select Files. I can upload my email first, and it will give me the loading item. And now it's there, and I can use it the same way I would use the other items. So let's go ahead and let's upload a PDF. So I'm going to find the PDF on my system that I want to upload. Now notice that the PDF does not look the same as the images. I mean, it doesn't give me an image version of the PDF. It just shows me the name of the document. So if I want to insert this document, then I can select it. The title of the document here is what the link is going to be on the page. So I want to make the title of the document appropriate. So I'm going to just say link to PDF example. We're not going to put a caption or a description in for these. We are going to link it to the media file. Always. And then you click Insert in the Post. And wherever my cursor was is where it would be living. Did I select the wrong thing? Oh, here it is. Link to PDF example. Here you go. So this one, I want to get rid of it. Here's my link to PDF example. So let's update this page. And let's go ahead and look and see what it looks like on the main page, the resources page. I think it looks crazy. Here we go. Here's my main page. Here's my link to my PDF example. I'm going to click on this. And it opens in the same page. And that is one of my pet peeves. So it looks like we need to go back and we need to fix that, right? So I can click Edit. I am going to click my link button, check the box to open the tab in a new window, and then click Update. If I want to remove a link, I put my cursor in the link and I click the Break the Link button and it goes away. Okay. Any questions about adding pictures and links and all that good stuff? PDF? Good deal. Okay. Then let's go back out to the PowerPoint and we will review, and anybody who feels so inclined can hang out and we'll look at inserting videos if you want to. Okay, so what we went over today, we learned what WordPress is and we learned how it works. It's an open source system that you're using to maintain your websites. We learned about updating it, knowing that we should do this regularly because it keeps our website safe and it lets us use new features such as the new media gallery. And it also, we learned about how to modify the website, and that's what we spent pretty much the last hour, actually more than the last hour looking at. So we looked at how the admin section was set up and how to get from one place to the other, adding users and what the different user levels are, pages versus posts and how to edit those. And then we looked at formatting text using our H tags, adding posts, writing titles, and then adding photos and PDFs. Do any of you guys want to learn how to insert a video, or are you busy and you need to go back to your normal lives? You can say that you're busy, it's okay. Okay. We do it every month though, so it's awesome. Okay, well, thank you everybody for attending and have a lovely rest of your day.